There's been no shortage of excitement on this year's APBA Baja Offshore Series, which culminates today in St. Petersburg, Florida, with the APBA UIM World Championships presented by Optograph LASIK Vision.
The APBA UIM World Championships of Offshore Powerboat Racing might be best described as the ultimate in grudge matches. Rivalries that have been smoldering all year long come to a head right here on the waters of Tampa Bay off St. Petersburg, Florida. Now, the format's just a little bit different. It's 2 days of racing, and it's the total points over those 2 days which will determine which boats actually win the World Championships. All of them will be taking a shot at it. Now, to find out more about some of these rivalries, let's go down to the pits and Rich Lures.
The Ocean Spray Fountain not only lost the national championship, but the title World's Fastest V-Bottom as well to the Pier 57 Fountain of Art Lilly and Jeff Harris. The Sagalos Penhole team has definitely drawn a target on that boat because a world championship would ease some of the pain. They drew first blood in the first heat, and they're loaded for bear at the final. Perhaps the biggest backyard brawl is the war between Matt Alcone and Forrest Barber here at the World Championships. You may recall the Drambuie lace gauntlet that was laid down by Forrest Barber at Corpus Christi when Matt Alcone didn't show up.
Well, Matt, let's come race on an equal basis. You know, we've tried to get you to race with us on a level basis all year. Let's find out who the best team really is. You know that, don't you, Matt?
Well, Matt Alcone is here, but thus far, Forrest Barber's backing up his tough talk with a win in the opening round at the World Championship. And remember, Forrest is the defending world champion, having won this same event last year in the waters of Biloxi, Mississippi.
Now the start of the 6-mile course is on the big front straightaway on the south end of the pier. Turn 1 is the furthest point east on the course. Coming out of 2, there's a nice long backstretch where you'll also find the finish line. Smooth water conditions, this place is built for speed. First up will be the Offshore B, and in round 1 of the World Championships held earlier in the week, it was the B-22 Instigator. That's the boat on the inside. Joe Scrow, along with Pete Meyer on the throttles, they get around B-7 Tivoli here on the back stretch. Later on, Tivoli would develop engine problems and fall out of the race. The Instigator looked very impressive in taking an opening round win. National champion Dramamine would end up finishing second.
So, coming into today's race, Instigator has a leg up on the rest of the 9-boat field. Dramamine and Tivoli, you know those two have a little score to settle after going at it all season long, with Dramamine finally winning the national points title by 12 points.
Offshore A in the opening round, Jerry Sorrentino's California entry, the A11 in motion, establishes his Phantom as the boat to beat, winning the first race of the Worlds at A. Team Irresistible finishing second in that one.
As we take a look at the Offshore A lineups, the national champion Nemshov Sports is absent from the field. They've sold their boat in order to concentrate on the APBA Super Series next season. But we'll see them in competition a little later in Super V here at the Worlds.
Factory 1, our third start here in St. Petersburg. The F-146 Freedom Offshore firing the first shot off the bow in that class. Peter Dorner and Lynn Taylor taking home the win.
Factory 1 lineups, a huge field. 15 boats will take the start. Corsa, Warlock, Progression, Fountain, Formula, Levy, Checkmate, just some of the manufacturers represented here. And the spectators love this class. Box stock boats with Mercury 500 HP motors, all equal, identical power, identical speed, very, very tight racing.
And what you're looking at is one of the most beautiful sights in all the world for offshore racing. The Offshore Bees coming up for their start on the calm waters of Tampa Bay off beautiful downtown St. Petersburg. They are lined up. They are watching now for the yellow flag to change to green. When it does, they're off, and there they go.
There goes the green flag, and there goes Tivoli, one of the smaller boats in the field. Twin carbureted engines of about 750 horsepower apiece. The speed capability about 110 miles an hour in the middle of your screen. Look at Instigator, the boat out of Long Island. He's also taking a real fast start. So it's Instigator and Tivoli right now.
And we look at Tivoli head on. These guys are really concentrated as they head down to the first turn that they'll face since the start of this race. And remember, you got 15 boats, all of them going for the same spot on the turn.
A three-way race between the three favorites. Dramamine to the far side. In the middle, Instigator. And closest to you, we see Tivoli. We're running about 112 miles an hour, and you can see that helicopter is laboring to catch up to this trio.
This is absolutely picture-perfect racing for the offshores. Aboard the Dramamine, you can see the hands on the wheel as they fight against those little bits of current and wake that come up underneath the boat.
Back to the Offshore A's, and they are lined up just as we saw the B's for the start. They're perfectly straight across, and at that point, they will drop the flag. These are virtually identical boats. Most of them made here in West Florida in the Phantom Boat Company. And as you can see, they have about 750 horsepower apiece, single engines. These drivers and throttlemen, driving is everything in this class. And two boats out of California from the IMCO team are taking the lead with a nice turn of speed, a lot of acceleration off the start, but maybe there's some longer legs in the back of the pack.
We'll see as they go down into that turn if they can hold on to it, because it's going to depend where they are in the field and how much of a margin they can make between themselves and third place.
Now that blue boat closest to you is a brand new design out of Phantom, and you can see a little bit of a handling problem, but look, in motion right behind them, coming in like a predator. Like I said, longer legs, higher top end, and they're using the top end now. As they've gone through the acceleration phase, the top end's beginning to show, and in motion's got the miles an hour right now.
Three California boats side by side in motion with the advantage on the inside, doing a great job. This is east-west all the way. Factory 1 is just underway. The F-146 Freedom Offshore leading the way. The F-196 Team Havana right at the bottom of your screen.
Look at how tightly matched they are, and look at the size of this fleet. 15 boats running in this fleet right now, and these boats, as we said, all have the same power. They're virtually identical hulls in terms of hull weight. They're different manufacturers, but they're very close to size.
APBA Baja Offshore Racing is brought to you by Baja. Baja, speed changes you. Back with more right after this. Famous landmarks of the St. Petersburg 89 World Championships will have an economic impact second only to the Final Four in Double Ra's baseball. This event is also a great national and international showcase for this area, with its great facilities, its beautiful downtown waterfront parks, the pier, Albert Whittard Airfield, and the Vinoy, all within walking distance. St. Petersburg is a perfect site for the Worlds.
Back on the course to the great Factory 1 action, Freedom Offshore. Day 1 winners at the Worlds on the outside, taking over second place from F-196 Team Havana. Running up in second, Freedom Offshore is making a strong bid for the World Championship.
And Rich, the waters at Tampa Bay are very deceiving. These boats look like they're just kind of gliding along there. No big problem, just a little Sunday afternoon type drive. But truth be known, those waters are starting to roughen up, and they get rough on the back. Look out of the helmet cam being worn by Brian Canty in the Team Havana. There's water on the lens. You can see the boats bouncing around a little bit. It is a lot rougher out there than it looks when we're looking down from the helicopter.
And here's the boat they're trying to catch, and here's why it's so difficult. They're using all the trim they've got. They're carrying that boat in almost a reckless fashion, trying to maintain the lead. And that wild competition carries over to the other classes as well. Here in Offshore A, the A-15 Team Irresistible hooked up in a wild battle with the winner of Day 1 at the Worlds, the Southern California entry A-11 in motion. In motion on the inside of the turn. That's the yellow boat at the top of your screen. On the outside, Irresistible, running a little wacky out there. He is trimmed to the max, pushing out all the stops. They're talking World Championship. And when you say World Championship to these racers, that's the trophy they want.
And we might notice also, Rich, that now they are starting to intermix with some of the other classes. There are several classes running out on this course all at one time. They've got to watch out for those wakes.
In Offshore B, we're flying as well. Instigator, out of Long Island, New York. Probably the most potent boat in the class. This baby smokes. A real race course dominator. You want to beat these guys, you got to run a flawless race.
All right, here we see Dramamine currently running in second place in the Offshore B. Let's go on board and listen to some of the conversation.
Boy, he is running, huh?
Yeah. Did we do our lap take that time?
No. And we're down at 200 RPM on that right motor. I don't know if we want to watch it. What do you think?
Down 200?
We're down almost 300 again. 200.
How many RPM?
63, 65.
How fast we run?
99.
99 is not going to catch the 113 that Instigator is running right now.
But at least they are still running. Not the story for Tivoli. They're off plane. They are out of the race. This is their season. The smallest boat in the class. They had calm waters today. This was the chance to come on and take the win. They do not get it. It is a heartbreaker all the way for Jamie Coates, the owner of this boat.
And back in Offshore A, the race continues with In Motion leading the way. Very consistent running boat, and you notice they're not going to the extremes that some of their competitors are. They've got the boat laid out flat, They've got her dialed in to finish the race. Nothing too crazy, staying right on the inside of the pins. Look at Team Irresistible. She's running in the wakes. She's going wide on the turns, trying to keep the speed up. The boat's a little more out of control. Whoa! Classic hook and spin. Ed Smith and John Montgomery had to be real quick on the wheel and throttle to save that boat from rolling right over, but that cost them.
Let's take a look at the replay as he came around now. He is between wakes, and he is trying to really accelerate on that turn to catch In Motion. In Motion seems to have a very good ride on the inside, and right there he loses it. The back end comes around on him. He goes across the wakes, and as you say, Rich, he held onto the boat, and that is a credit to that guy's driving ability and the throttleman, because the throttle, the speed of those props can also determine where the boat goes.
We also talked about the fact that taking chances can be risky. In Motion was taking no chances, and now they find themselves safely in the lead.
As we switch back to F1, let's go aboard the stressed out, the F118. There you see the words, the Whipster. That refers to former APBA chairman Gene Whip, who is here in St. Petersburg today. He is suffering from cancer. All of the racers join in wishing him the very, very best.
Yeah, we wish Gene the best. We all give him our love and support. And back to the racing action that he loves so well. This is the battle for fifth in Factory 1. Look closest to you, F158. The green goes being run down on the inside by F104, the Mountain Dew. This Factory 1.
Rich, there's been an accident. There's been an incident down in turn number 1. Team Havana has rolled over, tossing the drivers, as you can see from our helicopter, right into the water. Take a look at the replay.
The price you pay for close racing. You are running on the edge here. Coming into the turn, they set up. The boat got away from them, and both of them got ripped right out of the boat.
So much so that the throttle was actually bent by the throttleman as he left. You can see them off the back end. Now here's the view from the helmet cam.
On board, you can see the boat is now totally out of control. Both of them are in the boat, and now they're not. And having done this, I can tell you it's like learning what life is like inside a Mixmaster.
It's an unbelievable roll by the Havana. They are both all right, according to the reports we're getting on the course.
And that leaves F149, Eraser, as the winner today, but your world champion will be the Freedom Offshore team. They'll finish second today, but this team will come out on top in the World Championships.
It's a combination of 2 days of racing. There you see the results of those 2 days with the APBA UIM World Championships in the Factory 1. It goes to F146, Freedom Offshore. In Offshore B, it's the B-22 Instigator. Over 2 days, 218 points, beats out Dramamine for the World Championships. In Offshore A, the A-11 In Motion out of California gets 212 points over the 2 days to take the World Championship in A. Now, this was Jerry Serrantino getting his checkered flag. We caught up with him and the rest of our first group of world champs.
Taken the high points divisional champion and the Western champion and the new world kilo record, now the worlds, and also got engaged to get married this week here too. So it's been an awesome year for us.
Oh, it's great. There's nothing like it. The first race was a little rough, and we had the right props on for it. It danced us through the water. This time it was dead flat calm. We changed the props. We did it again. It worked great both days.
World champions. How does it feel?
Yes, baby! Woo! It feels great. It absolutely feels great.
2 days of racing, it just worked out perfectly, didn't it?
Oh, it was unbelievable. I tell you, the competitors were terrific. I mean, all the guys out there worked very, very hard. We certainly want to thank our crew, our families for being with us all year long as we work to accomplish this. Our sponsors, Nisley Homes, Culligan Water, Weber Manufacturing, just everybody worked with us incrementally, and I tell you, it feels wonderful, and I'm glad it's over.
We'll be back with more from the APBA UIM World Championships after this. Rich Lars, as we look at the Alp Showdown with Drambuie on ice. Now we're going to take a look at some F2 action featuring the largest fleet of the season. This is what it looked like heading into turn number 1 on the first day of racing. 25 boats. It looked like a supercross race, Rich, but good, clean racing, and there were no incidents.
No incidents, but a lot of action as Velociraptor won that race, finishing just 8 seconds ahead of Team Snap-on. Snap-on and the rest of the field looking to do away with that thin cushion.
23 boats in today's field featuring divisional champs like Southeast champions Team Sutphin, Twisted Sticks out of the Northeast, and from way out west, the high voltage entry. Regional champions going for it, and what, for all intensive purposes, the national championship race in Factory 2.
Martin Sanborn, the throttleman for the F255, steps into the F271 Matco Fountain for an exhibition race yesterday. He was injured when the boat barrel rolled in turn 1. That accident effectively took Martin out of the F255 high voltage for the final, which is one of the most successful boats in the class. Only a broken shoulder. He was lucky it wasn't much more serious, but this is the same boat that spun out in the season opener in Fort Myers with APBA Chairman Michael Allweiss at the wheel. And the story continued. 2 races later, the same team in the cockpit had this frightening incident in Corpus Christi, Texas. They pitched throttleman Adib Mastery almost in harm's way, and we put it to Martin Sanborn. Is this boat, in the tradition of Edgar Allan Poe, jinxed?
Well, I'm sure hoping it's not haunted. I got more confidence in this boat than any other boat I've ever been in. As far as 38 Fountain, it's just the best running boat I've ever run. And I can't say enough good about it. The boat really does drive well. There's some things you just can't do. Reggie always told me, you keep pushing these things hard enough, you're eventually going to find the line. I think we found the line yesterday.
Well, Martin feels that way, but I think the boat is pristine.
We shall find out as we look down on the F2 lineup, the Factory 2 boats. This is the reverse angle shot of the start from the pace boat. You're seeing now what the officials are seeing as they signal the boats. There is the flare going up along with the green flag, and we are underway.
Some of the tightest racing you're ever going to see here in the Factory 2 class. When we talk about identical horsepower, you can't say it better than that frame right there where they were all lined up and they just pulled away together from the start.
And there you see the focus of throttleman and driver aboard the team of Vanna. Now we jump over to the F213 Renegade, and we're going to go on board that boat.
We're not getting anything here.
It's that left motor. It's cutting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it, bro. We're not going to race this race.
Oh boy, disappointment early on. That's about the worst news you can get when you're just about to hit turn 1.
And out of the front of Renegade, you can see the rest of the field just taking off without him. But back up in the action, here's Velociraptor, the winner of the first race. It looks like they're driving through a car wash as they go through the competition in the first turn.
Now, High Voltage, the boat that we were talking about earlier, is coming out at the center of your screen right there, and he goes across. He literally lost it, and boy, he could have been slammed into by any one of those boats coming around turn number 1.
Here's what it looked and sounded like from on board High Voltage.
You talk to me. Tab is on. Get in. Hold it open. Hold it open. Hold it open. Open. Touch. Go, go, go.
That was Todd Welling talking to his substitute throttleman, Ron Umland. As you know, Martin Sanborn couldn't make the race because of the injury.
This is off the back end of that boat. Now watch the amount of water that's grabbed as that boat goes into the spin, and then they force it back the other way, and they're able to rescue it and come out.
Enormous amount of strain on the drivetrain. When something like that happens, I can take you right out of the race.
Meanwhile, up front, the battle in the F2s sees Dick Simon Marine, the F217, and Sun Country Racing, the F226. And this is the kind of racing we talk about. In the F2s, it goes from first place all the way back through the field. There's nose-to-nose racing everywhere you look.
This is virtually like a NASCAR race where you get all the cars bunched up, almost drafting in a turn, except in racing, you cannot draft because you're eating rooster tail.
And just like NASCAR, this sport is growing in popularity in leaps and bounds. Well, we've got more leaps and bounds over the Tampa Bay waters. We'll be back in a moment. UIM World Offshore. The F226, Sun Country Racing leading the F215 Fountain and the F217 Dick Simon Marine around turn 1.
A rapidly developing story, the F215, the sister ship to Martin Sanborn's rough-riding F271 Fountain. This boat, the F215, is driven by Formula One racer Benny Robertson and throttled by a newcomer to APBA Racing, Paula Miller. Paul is a former motocross jet ski racer out of the Toronto, Canada area, but this boat, I know these are great drivers, I know Benny's a tremendous tunnel boat racer, but this boat is performing like it's got more power than the rest of the fleet. You have to wonder, they've gone right through the pack. The boat was a back runner in the first heat, and today it looks like it's from a larger class, like they've got bigger motors.
It's a very controversial boat, and it's not going to surprise me that they're going to want to look at that engine when they get it back into the pit area here in St. Petersburg, Florida. There's the battle for second place Look at the waters of Tampa Bay, just gorgeous today.
The battle for 10th place in the F252 Fast Tech Racing and the F278 Extra Lean. You can see again, here we have two virtually identical formulas, and it's very difficult to get an edge. You've got to be really right on the turns. You got to be perfect with your throttling down the straightaways. Your trim's got to be spot on. Everything's got to be just right, because inches are everything in Factory 2.
Well, this is on board the Velociraptor, which is the F245, and they were winners in the first race that was held earlier this week. So they're looking to garner points for the World Championship. Back up to the battle for first place now. As we look down on these waters, you can see the boat we were talking about, the F215, again looking like it's pulling away.
Now look at that, Dick. I mean, he holds the inside line, and yet he's accelerating. He's got more speed. He's carrying higher speed than the boat that took the outside line. He should be slowing down. Instead, he speeds up. There's something more than driving skill in that cockpit.
Meanwhile, the second place finisher on Wednesday, Team Snap-on, is running fifth. You can see the throttleman looking over his shoulder and trying to communicate with the driver on board the boat. They've got to move up in that field to get their points for the championship.
The stress level is rising in that cockpit. Here's the boat that 6 months ago was the boat to beat in the class. Now he's running in the middle of the pack towards the lead, but he's not dominating like he used to.
He had another incident on the course. The F298 team, CRC, out of New Jersey, has pulled off of the course. We do have a replay from on board the F233 Team Lazara. Let's see what happened.
Highlighted above the helmet of Gene Weeks, you can see the F298 in the background, set up nicely for the turn, and then another hook and semi-spin. Puts them sideways in the turn. They avoid being T-boned. They run through a couple of wakes. Basically, they damage the boat to the point that they could not continue.
Meanwhile, the Outer Limits Lazara has its hands full with the F278 Extra Lean. Now, this is a new Lazara driver. It's Matt Monier. It is not Dick Lazara who owned the boat, but unfortunately, he was injured in that boat, and he is no longer driving.
Gene Weeks, the constant in the boat, has been on board both the old and the new hulls, and the boat is running nicely right now in a battle for 8th place.
Let's talk about high voltage. That boat, the F255, was the third place finisher on Wednesday. They're trying to run down the F226 Sun Country Racing for third place in this race. Now remember, since Wednesday, they've put in a substitute throttleman, and then earlier in this race, they had a near spin out on the course. They have it back in contention. And look at this move, right to the inside to take it away from Sun Country. What a great move. Now remember, Velociraptor is back in the pack. Snap-on is in 5th place. This could bode very well for high voltage in terms of the World Championship.
Man, that was a smooth move. You talk about great course management. The high voltage team, they didn't seem to miss a beat going around that turn, and that gave them a tremendous advantage just then. They gained a lot of boat lengths.
Now this boat could very well be your winner if the F215 boat is ruled illegal. This boat had a poor showing in the first race, 19th place finish, but they're having a good run today, currently in 2nd place.
Now here's our Team Sutphin Southeast Regional Champion, running way back in an unaccustomed 19th place. Pet peeve of mine. You got a class where inches mean everything. Why do you put a third man aboard and add the weight?
Well, that's a good question for them when they come back on land after the race is over. Meanwhile, Twisted Sticks Northeast champs in a bow-to-bow battle with F205 Twister. This, believe it or not, is for 14th spot in the field.
Look at this racing. It's virtually identical. You know these boats are both set up totally legally. They are boats. They're both Phantoms. They are literally the exact same boats. Same motors, same boats. Amazing racing in the Factory 2 class. You gotta love it.
Both of them are hitting good water. Both have very good water, so it's a real test of throttleman and driver.
And here's the story in Velociraptor. This boat won the first race. Then they wound up, as we saw in the first turn, eating so much water that had to get down into the engine compartment, and certainly slowed them down. They're now desperately trying to catch back up to the competition. Looking over Gene Weeks' shoulder in the Team Lazara, you can see Velociraptor on the inside. They're scratching and clawing. They're kind of like a hunter looking for a deer. They've got to get positions, and man, they're right up on his hip. They're going to take the inside. They don't care. They're staying right there.
Gene Weeks is looking over his shoulder at the bow of a boat, and there you see the battle as they go into turn number 3. Look at that, side by side. Talk about trusting. Each team has to trust the other team to know what they're doing.
That was more than trust. That was guts. He stayed right in there. He wants that position. He knows the World Championship is at stake. He's going for it. That's gusto.
Meanwhile, Team Snap-on, the F288, is sitting back in 5th place with no chance as they're into the final lap now of catching High Voltage. High Voltage riding fine on the waters of Tampa Bay, coming in for the checkered flag in 3rd place, will have enough points over 2 days of racing to claim that World Championship. We congratulate the team from High Voltage winning the World Championship in the F2 class. There you see the total points, beating out Team Snap-on by just 7 points for the APBA UIM World Championship. A great 2 days of racing for the High Voltage team. As a matter of fact, for all of the F2 teams. This was the scene down on the docks. A happy gang from High Voltage. Afterwards, Rich caught up with the new world champs.
A couple times out there that was out of nowhere, the biggest, I don't know, rogue wave or whatever. We took off one time. I thought we'd never come back down.
Yeah, we came down right in front of Bob Teague in the formula, but it was a great race.
I'll stop for a second and just think, how does it feel to be world champion?
Awesome.
Unbelievable.
Now a footnote, the F215 Fountain failed to pass technical inspection. They have been disqualified. So the F215 is out. The World Championship points are being recalculated now. More from beautiful St. Petersburg in a moment. Up to this race, Nigel Hook always wore glasses while racing, but prior to the World Championships, he took care of that with a visit to Dr. Stephen Updegraff's clinic, where Nigel underwent LASIK vision surgery. You do your job at 140 miles an hour, having the sharpest vision possible can't hurt.
Dr. Updegraff has done over 6,500 procedures, which that's an awful lot. And I've known a lot of people that have come to him. When I wear glasses, it's just everything is so crisp. You can see the leaves on the trees and the colors very vivid. And, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing that without having to wear glasses at all.
Well, it was a success, and Nigel is really enjoying seeing the racing as it really happens. And boy, what a place to be seeing it.
The APBA USA 1 lineups now. Drambuie on ice, WHM Motorsports, and Alcone Motorsports, a Predator on the prow. A strong fleet of boats in the modified class from the West Coast. Renegade, Jelly Belly, Ragamuffin. But the Pepsi 1 Prolong out of Florida won round 1 over Renegade earlier in the week. Our defending national champion, the Out of Bounds, isn't competing at the World Championships. This is a brand new boat. Steve Neely wasn't able to make the race and wanted no part of a substitute throttleman taking it out on her maiden voyage in competition. But this boat is the shape of things to come and the subject of our performance report. This is the new Talon 37 SC Out of Bounds, the first catamaran built exclusively for the APBA's new Super Cat series next season. Some of the design changes include the sponsons having been widened to give the boat more hydrodynamic lift to compensate for lower horsepower in the new class rules. They've also increased the dead rise of these sponsons, or the angle of the V. This will eliminate some of the pounding inherent in the earlier design. The boat has also been designed to carry big blocks. The earlier boat was designed for big and small blocks. Since next season, all Super Cats will be running big blocks with a predicted speed of 135 miles an hour. The new Super Cat design from Talon is the first pure Super Cat. Watch for it next season. The other half of the Super Series is, of course, Super V. Ocean Spray, with that dominant performance in the opening race, and the Pier 57 Fountains had problems and didn't finish the first race.
Let's go on board the Ragamuffin, number 69. Now you can see the 99 Renegade just off to the left. Looking from the backside now, Drambuie on ice, developing tremendous power as they look to take the start.
Okay, the combined USA 1 and modified boats, you've got speeds here up above 160 miles an hour in the USA 1 boats, and the modified boats are no slouches with 145 on tap for today's race. Look at Drambuie. They drop the flag and away she goes. Alcone on the outside. Alcone, historically one of the quickest boats in the world, can't match Drambuie today. Drambuie's got top end on top of top end.
Now remember, they're all starting out with a full load of fuel, and as that fuel goes away, the poundage reduces and they start flying those hulls a little bit more. But right now, it looks like Drambuie on ice has got it matched out beautifully to the conditions here at Tampa Bay. Alcone trying its hardest to catch up. Right now, though, probably pacing, just seeing exactly what kind of power Drambuie's going to develop.
And now we're on board the
1,400 volunteers that we want to say thank you to, and I'm sure the crew aboard the Drambuie on ice would like to say thanks to for a first-class event.
In offshore, we hear a lot about the rigging of the various systems on these sophisticated race machines, and it's the subject of today's Safety Spotlight, hosted by John Tomlinson.
With the combination of fuel, electricity, high-temperature exhaust, and water systems on Drambuie on Ice, the potential for trouble and even fire exists if these symptoms are not managed properly. That's why at our shop, TNT Custom Rigging, we planned every inch of the boat before we drilled the first hole. And on Drambuie on Ice, we took a less is more philosophy. We route every wire and hose precisely without wasting an inch of material. And we carefully separate every component so that each system is easy to service and inspect. We use aircraft-grade or higher materials and replace any item that might have the slightest wear. Our crew takes great pride in maintaining cleanliness in the rigging. This makes it much easier to spot a problem. On the Drambuie on Ice Extreme team, we not only look good on the surface, but underneath as well. Paying careful attention to detail can help prevent bigger problems later.
And that man you just heard from, John Tomlinson, is riding the throttles on that boat on the inside. That's Drambuie on Ice with Forrest Barber driving. But look on the outside. They may have a little problem as they look over their shoulders. Matt Alcone and Jerry Galbraith have found some speed.
That's a lot more than a little problem back there. That team, the Alcone Motorsports team, is one of the most respected teams in all of motorsports. But Drambuie staying on the inside isn't giving them any quarter. No opportunities for Alcone. You can't give those guys an opportunity because they'll come inside, they'll bite you, and they'll get by in a second.
Meanwhile, Bill Moff aboard the WHM Motorsports team with Joey Imprescia, another experienced throttleman, is trying to just hold on to third place. He's letting those two guys go out front.
Talk about speed and horsepower. You've got Super V class. Pier 57 fountain out in front. Jeff Harris and Art Lilly officially the two fastest men in V-bottoms in the world. And you talk about hung out to dry. Look at this boat riding on the back foot or less of the boat itself. Pure power, pure speed, and trimmed perfectly.
Running in second, Bruce Penhall and Dennis Segalas. Now they're right where they want to be in terms of the World Championship. They had some problems at the beginning of the race, but after a few anxious moments, it appears they're running right where they want to be.
In the catbird seat, that is the Ocean Spray Super V. Here's the view from the V41 Nemshov Sports. You can see he can do nothing but watch the rooster tails of the two faster fountains as they fly around the course.
And it is competition everywhere we look. Here's Mr. 2020, Nigel Hook, and the Citgo Superguard Scarab. He got that LASIK surgery and he's putting it to use, looking at the rest of the field in front of him.
Back in the USA 1 class, here's where the speed resides, and somehow Alcone got to the inside. That's what they wanted. They've managed to maneuver themselves to a point where they've got a shot at the Drambuie. Drambuie's trying to answer the challenge. Look at him come over on him, trying to squeeze that Alcone boat. You've got to use whatever you've got, and right now Drambuie is being forced to use some coarse trickery to try to hold that relentless Alcone team back there.
In the modifieds, the round one winner in the modifieds was Pepsi 1 Prolong. Joey Padovano and Charlie Hames, two drivers out of South Florida, still in friendly Florida waters, and they are taking full advantage of it in the lead. Meanwhile, this boat from California, the M99, Craig Ferguson and Brad Kaplan aboard Renegade, they were runner-up in round one. They are now riding in third place in the modifieds.
They're also riding on the inside of the course because they're aimed at this boat, the Gone Again, which is currently in second. Gone Again, however, is taking a long way around the course. The father and son team, the Bowling, seem to be content staying on the outside, giving a tremendous amount of opening for Renegade on the inside. They're lengthening the course right now, Dick.
Now this boat, the Ragamuffin out of California, has had problems in the big races, and once again today they ate some rooster tail. It looks like the gremlins of the big races are back in that cockpit again.
They set a world speed record, but they can't bring the speed when it counts.
Oh boy, we've got some problems aboard the Drambuie apparently. It looks like Matt Alcone and Jerry Galbraith may have gotten the break they wanted. They've been pushing that boat hard since the start. You can see the Alcone Motorsports now coming up, just going off your screen on the left, and that means they are pulling up even alongside. Now they are passing Drambuie on Ice. Matt Alcone, now he is the one making the move to the inside. This is the battle for first place. Can Drambuie on Ice hold on?
Jerry Galbraith and Matt Alcone made a move when it counted, and you can see they drove around them on the race course and hosed them down for good measure. That is what we call in racing cleaning your clock.
And it is also very legal. They had plenty of room out there. Now the Drambuie on Ice is trying to find that clean water. Matt Alcone with a great driving move, and Jerry Galbraith pushing those sticks forward, found more power. It's been great all the way, and now as they cruise across those waters, they are in first place. We'll be back to St. Petersburg and more in a moment. Baja.
While we were away, some startling developments out on the race course. Drambuie on Ice is back in business in a big way. Just before the break, we saw them lose their lead to Alcone, but after that, we get word that Alcone threw a prop blade. There's a tremendous amount of irony in that for Forrest, because last year, that propeller, designed by Bob Herring exclusively for Matt Alcone, allowed Matt Alcone to dominate this Drambuie on Ice boat. Forrest refused to give in and developed his own props in concert with Phil Rolla over in Italy. And here at the 1999 APBA UIM World Championships, what's Alcone's undoing? The controversial Herring prop. It's funny, but in the prop wars, what goes around comes around, right, Dick?
Oh, you're so right. And in offshore racing, the way it's developing so fast, nothing surprises us. Back in the modifieds, the Pepsi One Prolong, winner of the first modified race of the World Championships, has lost its crash box and can no longer continue. They're pulling off the race course past the beautiful downtown St. Petersburg Pier.
And that left the door wide open for the number 99 Renegade, because even now, as Jelly Belly stays to the outside of the course, Renegade ran right through on the inside to take the lead in modified. Now, Renegade was the runner-up in race 1 and is in great shape to win back-to-back modified world championships. Craig Ferguson and his 36-foot skater, they won the event last year, and it looks like right now they're in the catbird seat to win it again 2 years in a row.
Jumping up to the modifieds again, the Cat Can Do National High Points runner-up couldn't make the call in race 1 of the Modifieds World Championship, but Barry Glovic and Keith Holmes have a good, strong run today. Another boat having a good, strong run at the World Championships. Southern California entry, number 40, Kid Stuff, Greg Rivera, and Kobe Klein. They are now riding in 4th place.
In the Super Vs, the Pier 57 Fountain continues to dominate. This boat has not bobbled one time since the flag dropped. They are out in front. They know they have to win, because in 2nd place, the boat with more points towards the World Championship, the Ocean Spray Fountain, is relentless. Pier 57 Fountain hoping for a miracle.
But they're not going to get it today. Lillian Harris may win today's battle, but this boat has won the war. After a dominating performance in race number 1, Ocean Spray knew if they just kept it together and ran up front, they could claim their 5th World Championship in 6 years. We said at the beginning of the show they wanted to win here badly to make up for some of the 1999 disappointments. Team Woody Holly performance with Bob Teague on the throttles. They had a 2nd place finish in race 1. They're running in 3rd place. It looks like they'll finish 2nd in the World Championship standings.
Catamaran designer Michael Peters' first attempt at a V-bottom looks like it needs a lot of work to get up to the speed that the Fountains are showing today.
Well, it's been great racing all over the course, but the story of the day at the World Championships, Matt Alcone throws a propeller blade after taking the lead, and Drambuie on Ice will back up the World Championship they won in Biloxi just a year ago.
Also doing a double in World Championships in the modified class, Craig Ferguson in the Renegade backed up his win last year with a 1st place here today. The team made a beautiful piece of driving and course management to make up from 3rd place to 1st place.
Well, we'll take a look at how everybody finished up. First of all, in the modifieds, it was Renegade, a matter of points, over Jelly Belly, gone again to claim the APBA UIM World Championship here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Meanwhile, Super V World Championship results, on top with the crown, Ocean Spray, Dennis Segalis, and Bruce Penhall with 201 points. And what a race in USA 1. Drambuie on Ice gets the checkered flag. They got a chance to race heads up with Matt Alcone, and they take home the win and the World Championship. That backs up that challenge they issued out there in Corpus Christi.
Well, I guess we did, but you got to give credit to that team. They're a strong team, and they are a formidable opponent. So, but they brought their best stuff to us, and we beat them.
I was going into this race maybe not with the confidence Forrest had. I wasn't sure what we were going to have today. We had a real good setup Wednesday, and that setup went away with a little problem. We had to make a change, and I wasn't sure if it was going to get the job done. I was just hoping to stay within that 30-second window, and we were able to do better than that. So it's great.
The Renegade team echoes those sentiments. Back-to-back world titles.
Unreal. Unreal. Slicing and dicing, what a race. One of the most fun races I've ever had in my life.
The amazing thing is that you and the Pier 57 boat, this is not a rivalry that's going to end today, is it?
I don't think so. I think it's going to go on for many, many years. We're kind of in the same camp, but yet we're not, you know. But those are a great bunch of guys, and they got a boat that really goes fast, and so do we. So we're going to be around for the duration, and I have a feeling you're going to be right. You know, it's going to be a battle for many, many years to come.
And we look forward to seeing that rivalry continue as well next season. What a tremendous World Championships. This event really showcasing the downtown waterfront in St. Petersburg, Florida. A huge success for this city. Congratulations to all our winners and world champions. And race director Gary King did a great job. Be sure to tune in at this same time next week for more great action on the water in the IHBA Drag Boats World Finals from Firebird Lake. And for more, click on to TNN's website, country.com. The APBA UIM World Championships were produced by Diamond P Sports in association with TNN. Dick Crippen for Rich Lors. So long, everybody.